Nigel, back on the road, 2 away games in 4 days. How important is it to break this run of poor results?
Well, of course, it's very important for us. Be nice to get a solid sort of defensive display from the team, because I think that's the one thing that's really holding us back, in the sense that we've conceded far too many soft goals, easy goals, and I think that can erode players' confidence a little bit. So, yeah, there'll be tough games, but so what? It will be interesting to see how we respond to the challenge. I think the players have had a few conversations themselves this week where they've talked about what they feel is necessary as well. I always think that's a really important part of any squad's development, that they can be open and honest with themselves. So let's see. But no, it'll be Saturday's game will be a tough one for us. And the game at our place was a 1-1 draw. It was a tough game. I think we probably shaded it, but they've gone on to have a very good season so far. So we need to be a lot better than we have been.
Those conversations between the players, do you sit in on those, or do you just? Is it really important just to let them?
No, I don't
have those conversations.
No, I mean, look, team meetings are one thing where there is some structure to it in terms of the message that we as staff are trying to share and impart with the players. But of course, the best dressing rooms manage themselves, and I think the players have found certain times of the season quite tough to manage themselves to a certain extent. But well, I mean, that's all a part and parcel of how you move forward. And I'm certainly more happy with where we are in terms of the general makeup of the squad. Yeah, of course we do of course need to make changes as we go. Of course, that's always a part of developing a team and a side. But these players have to themselves find that added ingredient themselves. And so this week will be an interesting game from that, because apart from how we play and what the result is, it'll be interesting to see what the dynamics look like out on the field. So I'm expecting us to be a bit more tenacious this week.
Rob Atkinson came back in second half last week, and I think you said, in large part to perhaps protect Sam Bell. In terms of Rob, how do you think he did? And is he, I suppose, not back to how he was, but is he really getting there?
Yes, I think he is. I think Rob has. Let's remember, this is his first season in the Championship, and I think Rob's start to his career here was very, very positive. He's had a couple of injuries, difficult spell of being maybe a bit out of form too, being ill, part and parcel of life, isn't it? That's you can't always have a upward sort of trajectory as a player. So he looks better. He looks a lot more at ease with himself as well. I thought he did okay when he went on last week. The circumstances were unfortunate in the sense that having to make changes last week was a difficult weekend for us, let's be honest. Not a good performance, certainly in the first half. And the second half, we couldn't find the way of getting back into the game, which is a big disappointment. But no, Rob comes back in with I think, well, he appears to be anyway, with a lot more personal drive too, and I think that's good.
And Tim Close, he'd played pretty much every minute prior to coming off at half time. Is he feel better than he was on Saturday?
He's okay. He'll be available for this weekend. Thomas, not so. Thomas won't be available this week. I don't think so. He's been carrying. He's had a knock on his knee, which has been sore, but he's also got a bit of a problem in the groin too. So, he'll probably miss this weekend, but we'll see how he goes.
And 10 games to go. You say you feel as if the squad's in a better position than perhaps this time last year.
Yeah.
Apart from the obvious of trying to get as many of the 30 points as we can, do you see it as a blocker running, or are you very much kind of the old Saturday is the most important thing, and then?
I don't think at the moment we're in a position that we can float that sort of narrative of having a run. Our performances of late and our results of late mean that we have to concentrate very much on the present. That's the reality of the situation. So I'm not trying to sell any story to anybody. It's just a case of the players who were here last year know what it was like to endure what was a pretty miserable end to the season. I think for ourselves and our fans alike, it's important that we have a positive feel to the end of the season. Now, that doesn't always mean results are going to be great, but what we don't want to have negative results and poor performances like we did last week, because that's a combination which is not really something where you can glean too much positivity from. So I've never been one for trying to paint unrealistic pictures. We've got lots of work to do. There's no doubt about that. But the group of players that we have at the moment are capable of getting some good results, and I expect, and I think they expect themselves to do that.
George Tanner, within those 10 remaining games, you talked about him coming back but not rushing him. Is he on track to make?
Well, he's out there training with us, but as I've tried to explain before, the difference between being out there training with us and being available to get back into the cut and thrust of league games where there's pressure on you is a big difference. He's had a reoccurrence of a hamstring injury. He's playing at a level that he's not played at before. I think it's natural for people to ramp up expectation by saying that when a player's back, he'll do well because the team's not doing well. It's not really as straightforward as that. And I can't, and I've actually said to George, look, what's important is that when he is reintroduced to the side, he's capable of dealing with the challenge. That's my job to judge that, not to, if you like, give in to external pressures on that. So in the meantime, we find the different solutions, it's what it is.
And you're still very much of the mind that the solutions should be with the players who are in the squad as opposed to. Well, you referenced last week about people often think that the solution is the players who are not playing.
Yeah, but I think that's natural. And one of the problems that we've had this year is because of the lack of consistency, there is a temptation to change things because that is when players get opportunities, they've not necessarily taken it. So, as I said last week, any criticism that I make of anybody is being critical of myself too, because I'm the manager of this team. And the solutions have to be within the four walls at the moment. The challenge to the players is make sure that as we come towards the end of the season, that they make sure that their place in the side is cemented, and that's really what it's about. So it doesn't matter the state of the season or what part of the season you're in. There is always a challenge for individuals within the team to make the place their own. That's their responsibility.